You spoke about dying to the old self. So, in that death of the old self, there's a time frame when it can be lonely, or there's a time between the birth of the new self and the death of the old self. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think that when we go through the death, those old parts of ourselves die. Those old parts of your personality, your ego, your conditioned patterns, the way that you've learned to function and survive and avoid pain and get love and validation in the world also starts dropping away. All of the roles and the masks and the personas that you have learned, right? That we learn to be funny, to be nice, to be sweet, to be kind, to all of those ways of being that really are not necessarily the most authentic expression of our being. They're just patterns that we've learned to get love, validation, approval, to have mom and dad love us, to survive in the world. That kind of covers up the authentic expression that has to die. And as that happens, part of why it can get a bit lonely is because all of the people around you that were in love with that false version of yourself also start dropping away, because you're no longer being that false version of yourself. You're allowing something more to emerge. And those people were not really in love with you. They were in love with the version of yourself that you were pretending to be. And so yes, it can get lonely on one level, but just know that the only things and the only people that you're losing were not the ones that really knew you and really loved you for who you were. To me, part of real love is when someone, they know you, they see all of you, they see your beauty, they see your magnificence, they see your light, they see your stuff, and they love it all. And so as those people drop away, because your identities and personas are dropping away, it is making space. And as you start resting into and stepping into your more authentic expression, daring to be who you really are, because most of us as children, we were afraid to be who we really are, right? Because we were afraid that mom and dad wouldn't love us. We were afraid to be who we really are because we were afraid that, we wouldn't get validation. And so it takes courage to be who you are. But as you start being more and more of who you really are, and you start shining the light of your being, you will begin to attract true soul friends, true soul tribe, true authentic experiences and people that can see who you really are, because you are being who you really are. But there is a phase where we're living kind of unconsciously. Then we move to start questioning ourselves. Then in the questioning of ourselves, we have to move into a phase of like aloneness, being alone, even being a bit of a hermit. But that phase of aloneness is an important phase in the process of surrender, but the process of evolution. That phase of being alone is an opportunity for us to go inside, an opportunity for us to not be influenced by things outside, an opportunity for us to be still and actually listen to our truth and give birth to ourselves. So we have to allow ourselves to stay in the womb of consciousness so that the full gestation and birthing can happen. Otherwise, we come back into the world and we're not fully cooked. We're half-baked. Does that make sense? Look at Mandela, right? It took 27 years for Mandela to cook. It took 27 years for Mandela to bake. Should he have come out after 5 years? What if we had freed him after 1 year? Would he have developed the level of clarity, the level of vision, the level of consciousness, the level of forgiveness, the level of connection to the divine, the level of soul force had he come out in 2 years? Maybe the 27 years was the necessary gestation period for him, his aloneness. So know that aloneness is necessary. When my son was born, anyone of you been at a birth? Anyone you've given birth? Then you know you've been at a birth. It's a miracle, is it not? Life comes out like life, like whoa. My wife was giving birth, it was like whoa. Like Oh my, and we don't trust life. We don't trust, like there's an intelligence that is carrying this baby inside. It's 9 months, it's taken from your blood, then it's a being, a human growing inside of you. And we don't trust life. We don't trust our soul. We trust Siri more than we trust our soul, right? Siri says, turn left, turn left, turn left, turn right. But the moment your soul says, be still and just gestate. Are you with me? But when my son was born, it was interesting. He came out crying. You know how babies do. And I'm crying, my wife is crying, the baby's crying. But I thought it's interesting. He came out crying, and we're so happy with tears, but every birth is a death. So on one level, I thought maybe his tears are also tears of grief, because he just exited and died to who he was so that he could enter this human incarnation where we are all happy, but he just died in order to give birth. Are you with me? So just know that whatever can die and whatever can be released and whatever can dissolve is not really you. It was never you. Because what you really are, your true essence, your true spirit, your true identity is beyond birth, is beyond death. It's always the case. It's like the space. It's like the air. Is there any end to this air? Everyone can see the air, yes? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Wave to the air. Is there any end to this air? Yes or no? Right? If I have a bottle here, imagine for me, use your imagination, this is a glass bottle. Imagine it's empty. We as human beings have been so conditioned by life, by society, by the matrix, by media, to believe that we are this physical, three-dimensional bottle. I'm blue and I'm silver and I have a black dot here. Oh my God. But no, the black dot has dissolved. Oh no, there's a wrinkle in the bottle. Oh. Whoops, sorry. But no, what happened? There's a wrinkle. No. We've become so conditioned in our society to believe that we are this bottle. So much of media programs us to believe you are this bottle, you are this person, you are this ego, you are this bottle, and you're going to die. And now we've become so limited in our identification as this ego form. And we believe we are this limited ego structure, when in reality we're infinite. The bottle may change. So what if we painted this orange? We can paint this bottle gold. We can totally strip this bottle of all paint. We can paint this whole thing black. But are you this bottle? And now, if we imagine this bottle was empty and we crack this bottle, what would be there? What's in the bottle? Air. What's outside of the bottle? Air. When you start realizing that you are no longer the bottle, you are the space, you are the air, and that when you surrender the bottle, when you surrender aspects of the bottle, no longer blue, losing my hair, got some wrinkles, I've become, 67 years old, 80 years old, 90 years old, no longer, right? As we evolve, as the bottle changes, as we go through different stages of our life, begin to realize you've never changed. What you are can never die. The ego is the ego that resists surrender. Everyone say ego. Because to the ego, surrender is a death. But what we have to realize that the ego is not the enemy, because the ego is not even real. The ego is not a real thing. The ego is a process. It's a process of identification. Name, body, form, history, pain, hurt, trauma, experiences, past. And the more we identify with ourselves as ego, the tighter we hold on, the more surrender scares us. So when you realize you are not the ego, you are not the bottle, you are the space. then you know that whatever you need to let go of is not really you dying. It's just the illusion of what you thought you were dying. Because you are not in the world. You are not in the world. The world is in you. And so if there's space, where does the space end? This space, is this space here separate from this space here? Yes or no? Okay, is this space here separate from this space here? Is this space here? If we keep going, can we extrapolate? Is this space over there separate from that space over there? If we keep going to like Denver downtown, is the space here separate from that space? And so yes, as you let go of the identification of who you thought you were, it can seem a little lonely as things fall out of your life, as people fall out of your life. But if you allow yourself to bake and cook and gestate so that all that is not in alignment can truly fall away, then you will see what remains. And from that, there will be an inner power, an inner strength, an inner knowing that no one can take from you, a peace. Because even though you died, you will now realize you can never die.